MMA Rants and Raves, The Ultimate Fighter Season 11, Episode 5, featuring the fight Josh Bryant versus Chris McRae. Guys, USA Today report came out, 1.8 million views for this episode by young males, outpacing the NBA playoffs. Guys, is MMA in the mainstream yet, or what? How long has the NBA been around? MMA has only been in the mainstream for a few years, and they're already outpacing the NBA playoff. Interesting. And it's a really good sign. I mean, talk about this sport having room to grow. My goodness. Anyway, let's talk about the fight. The fight really started out well. It just seemed that McRae somewhat had the upper hand, and he was attacking. There was an exchange, and it looked really good. But then it just really started to slow down. A lot of hugging and pressing against the cage against both opponents. And it just seemed, with McRae especially, that his cardio just blew out, especially just after the first round. So he wasn't in shape for this fight. And that was really mysterious, really hard to understand. And of course, with Bryan too, he seemed to be getting tired, huffing and puffing, even in the second. So the conditioning is a question here, but the only thing is, if you look at these two fighters, it just seems that Bryant is better well-rounded, better skill set, because if you look at all the 3 rounds that they fought, in the first round, Bryant tried to get a rear naked choke, and of course McRae got out of that. And then in the second, he tried a Kimura, and then McRae got out of that too. And then at the end of the fight, he had a fully locked-in rear naked choke. It just, he didn't have the cardio to finish it. That was the issue here. So if you look at both fighters, cardio was definitely an issue. Of course, Bryant, had more cardio than he did, because it seemed he was stronger going towards the end of the fight. But also, he has submission skills. And you also have to give him some credit for his wrestling skills too, because he had some takedowns. It seemed that he had McRae down, and he was mounting him as well, despite all the takedowns that McRae had on Bryant. So, and as far as the stand-up exchange, it seems like Bryant got in a lot of good punches too. So I would say that Bryant is a better skilled fighter and more well-rounded. And that's a point I want to make, because Ortiz said that Liddell has a rabbit's foot stuck up, well, where. And I'm like, no way. He picked this team because he felt that they're the better skilled fighters. And he's proven it. I mean, his fighters, they're better skilled. If you look at the past fights besides Jaeger, all the other fights that happened, his fighters have done a better job. He saw something in these guys after their preliminary fights. After the preliminary fights, that these were the guys that he wanted to pick. So, he basically was a better scout as far as picking the talent. And then, of course, it's hard to say that, because who's the better coach? That's the issue here. What I don't understand about this McRae, here's my question here, guys. Was this guy really ready to fight? Did he go through the rigorous training necessary in order to determine if his cardio would be able to handle a fight like this? Because it didn't seem that way, unless he got sick overnight and didn't tell the coaches. So this is like a mystery, and only he knows, and only the coaches know. And I would like to know, because it just seemed really funny. I've never seen a fighter's cardio go out so quickly like that. I mean, the first round, he was really spent. I mean, he had to catch a second wind, because to his credit, he went the full 3 rounds. The guy has great heart, but cardio-wise, he was out cardioed. So as far as episode 6, what's going to happen next, it's going to be interesting, because a lot of injuries on both sides, and it's going to be interesting to see who is going to replace these guys, where they're going to get the replacements from. So that's really going to determine who's going to have the momentum and where it's going to go. Right now, the momentum is obviously Liddell. So that's the recap for The Ultimate Fighter Season 11, Episode 5. Stay tuned for Episode 6. Let me know what you thought about this episode. Please leave comments below the video. Please subscribe, and thank you for tuning in.